Thanks. And it's always good to speak to you too. So just by way of introduction, Gary has been a very generous supporter of the Jeppe Boats and Blades initiative. In addition to financial support, which is fantastic, he also donated the cleaver, which is a John Wall racing scull, and that's currently sitting in the Jeppe. Well, yeah, literally sitting in the boathouse and waiting to hit the water. So hopefully there'll be some activity. I think it actually starts up again middle of Feb this week. We might have some rowing, so that's really good news. Gary, so I guess the first question is why rowing? What drew you to the sport in the first place?
I tell you, Greg, and I only started rowing in the October of Standard 6. So I mean, the first half was I think it was swimming, but I was approached by John White, who was the first 8 coxswain in those days, and then a very convincing Malcolm Sharp to join rowing in the October for the new season. And being from Tabina House in those days, now Sable, we had some really, well, in fact, there was a lot of oarsmen inside Sable itself. We had Stuart Brown, we had John Oliver, we had Andrew Corns and Gavin Lanzart, and then a very good friend of mine who was in my dormitory was a guy called Bruce Weller. And they sort of convinced me that I need to join rowing. So we went on the rowing camp in October, as we normally do every October and December. And yeah, and to say I was hooked, that was it. So I was the rest is history. I was it was absolutely a wonderful experience, and that's how I really got involved in it. And I think I met, besides all the camaraderie and the closeness of rowing itself, with the guys, we had really good coaches in those days. We had a gent called Garth Lemkus, under 14 year. We had Clive Gilman, and then obviously the brilliant Ellie Francis, so Alan Francis, and so I was actually quite blessed, and we were pretty blessed as a group, in those days, and it was really very close. I also think it was probably just to get out of hostel on weekends.
Fair enough. And a lot of those guys, a lot of those names, I rode with as well. So John Oliver, John White, Malcolm Sharp. So yeah, I mean, all great oarsmen. Gary, how has your time as a Jeppe oarsman and indeed a Jeppe boy impacted on your adult life?
So Greg, call it sentimental, but I'm a great believer in the Jeppe motto, and that nothing is too difficult for the brave. And I think it goes down to my Scottish heritage. It's such a powerful motto. And on top of it, I could almost imagine William Wallace standing in front of all those Scots at the Battle of Bannockburn and shouting out, "Nothing is too difficult for the brave," So yeah, it was. It's the motto to me at Jeppe is really powerful. And even in my days or times of adversity, I always go back to that motto. Because I always think, listen, man, it can't be that difficult. Get in there, jump in there, and do it. Incidentally, the motto I found out a couple of months ago is actually inscribed on the floor of a hotel in Kimberley, in Beaconsfield. It's inside the old Phoenix Hotel, which was built, I think, in the 1883, somewhere around there. And that was the motto of Lord Beaconsfield. So, having businesses in Kimberley and residing in Kimberley, I thought it quite weird to actually find this resemblance to my old school with this motto inside this hotel. I think as well, when it goes to, from a rower itself, is that they're a different breed of person. Rowers, the amount of time, the dedication, the passion, that they put into to perfect their skill. You know, you take an 8, for example. You know, it's just trying to get 8 oarsmen all in sync, and with each other resulting in the boat being balanced and actually getting that boat to go forward. And not to forget the coxswain, because it's his job to make sure that he takes that shortest line, you know, from the start to the finish, that he's not going across the course or waving across the course as well and losing time. So everything sort of plays into it, you know. And when I look at my businesses, even today and in the past, you know, if you can get your team to be focused, to be passionate, to be dedicated, you know, that's 90% of the work done. You know, in actually building up that business.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, and thank you for that inspiration, by the way. So nothing is too difficult for the brave, and that's something that we have to stand by, particularly in challenging times like we've got at the moment. So, I mean, Gary, you've been around the Jeppe Boats and Blades initiative for certainly the better part of 2020. What are your thoughts on what we're building here in terms of the Jeppe rowing community, and you know, just the way we're looking to equip the current and future oarsmen?
So, Greg, I think, you know, and it's like you said, it's been a really tough year, and especially for a lot of businesses out there, and not only in South Africa, around the world. And I'm sure when days are brighter, we'll find a lot of our, you know, ex rowers being able to come and help, perhaps in a financial point of view. But I mean, I'd also think, you know, especially around Johannesburg, you know, there's a number of old boys I'm sure would give up their time just to get involved, you know, with the boys and help with a bit of guidance, you know, and getting. I know things have changed from, you know, from sort of fitness levels, etc., and probably dietary levels. You know, we just, well, not me. I wasn't allowed to eat, but you know, if I look at our first aid, you know, it was even many slices of bread that you could, you know, just to try and bulk up and all the rest of it. Whereas today it's obviously a lot different. I think the work that that's been initiated by yourself, Michelle, Christopher, and the team is really the springboard for exciting things to come. The main work, I think, belongs to the seniors within the rowing club. It's their job, it's their duty to go out there and market the rowing club, to canvass, especially now that the campus has just opened up. To go and canvass those new boys and get them and fill up all those boats that you've actually been able to acquire over the last a couple of months. And I tell you, I think if they can do that, you're going to have one seriously powerful club.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, totally.
And I think
totally.
then the last part of it is probably the parents. Greg, you know, having 2 sons there, you know. I mean, if I go back in memory as well, you know, Anthony Short's dad was always fixing the boats for us, Mr. Short, and you know, the parents were involved. Brian Wright's dad used to drive the trailer of the boat, you know, ZZ Taylors, if I remember correctly, and he would take the boats for us to the regattas. And it's important that the parents get involved, and I think that's what actually makes rowing different, because it's very much, in this day and age, a family sport. Mum and dad and the kids can all get involved in it. You know, whether it's mum socializing and dad socializing, it becomes part of the whole social environment, which we haven't been allowed to do over the last year. So, you know, from a marketing point of view, perhaps that's one of the points. But
absolutely. Well, thank you for that. So I guess the last question is, from your time as a Jeppe oarsman, can you give me one significant memory of that you recall with great fondness?
No. In fact, I've got too many. But I was fortunate to be part of a very good era in Jeppe rowing. You know, from 81 to 85. You know, and we were highly competitive. And I think that was brought on by the likes of, you know, Garth Lemkes, you know, who built us up, and Clive Gilman just added that extra value. And then when we got to Ali Francis, you know, it was just, well, that was like the ultimate of it, you know. Yeah, the proudness of walking, you know, and a lot of, I don't know if Jeppe still does it, but, you know, we used to carry, or not me, because I was a coxswain, but the oarsmen used to carry their blades upright. And I always remember sort of looking back when I was holding the boat, or if I was walking behind the guys in the later years, you know, of, you know, Jeppe boys holding their blades up in the air. And it was almost like, you know, it was a tactic, because, you know, everyone sort of feared that. The guys were coming down, holding these blades going down, and no other school did it. So that was our sort of competitive edge, I believe, you know. But it made me very proud, you know, because it was our own. We owned that. As a coxswain, I was thrown into the water, into many dams, many a time, fortunately because of good crews. So those were happy occasions. Ali Francis, I remember early mornings at Rurapla Dam, you know, sitting out there at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Ali would be in his little blue motorboat and coming to fix one of the riggers with a pipe, and that smell of that pipe tobacco, I don't know if it was rum and maple or what, but just that at that 6:30 in the morning, you know, those are sort of like smells, different smells that you had going around, but you remember them, you know, as what happened. I think probably, and it's a quite a difficult memory. Whether it is in the one side, it was very difficult for us. You know, in 1982, we were struck by lightning on Wemapan, and our very good friend and the stroke of our boat, the captain of our boat, a guy by the name of Bruce Weller, was tragically killed. And I remember, you know, it was supposed to be Jeppe's regatta the Saturday after Bruce's funeral. And we were all but done. We said, look, you know, we're not going to row anymore. It's, you know, that's our rowing finished, rowing day is done. And I remember Mr. Weller coming up to us and actually saying, boys, please row. You know, Mr. Weller was having none of it. He says the Jeppe regatta will go on. And going on from that regatta onwards until we finished our rowing careers at SA Champs in 1985, Mr. and Mrs. Weller was at every single regatta thereafter. And it was absolutely incredible just to have had that you know, support behind us. Incidentally, in 1986, with Anthony Short, I coached the under 14A quad with Anthony. Anthony was the head coach, and Bruce's brother was in the bow. And I think it was probably Jeppe's first quad, and it was called the Bruce. And the crew hadn't won a race the whole season. And at SA Champs in 1986, those 4 young boys in the coxswain, with Bruce's brother as the bowman, went on to win SA Champs in a record smashing time. So that for me was a great memory after school, you know, for it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, Gary, thank you so much for your time. Look, we sincerely appreciate the time that you've taken and the memories that you've just brought back to us. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Greg. And it's lovely catching up with you after all these years, 30 odd years, even though we've spoke on WhatsApp or text on WhatsApp. Lovely to see you face to face again, and I wish you all the best, and all the best to Jeppe Boats and Blades with the future fundraising. And I certainly hope the boys can get on the water this season and have a wonderful, wonderful time. And if not, get that new Swift 8 out there and make 2022 the target to take SA Champs.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So for everybody else out there, please do go check out our website. That is www.jeppeboatsandblades.co.za. And until we see each other online again, everyone keep pulling together for gold. Thank you very much.